Peace and greetings, y'all. Y'all really not ready for this story. Y'all really not ready. My name is Deja, and I hope you find serenity. I hope you find serenity. I hope you find serenity. So, Angel and Guati, hush. I'm sitting on the floor today because I need to be grounded. I'm sitting in front of my altar, which is behind y'all. Guardi, no, I'm making a video. Y'all, as you can see in the title of this video, I got beat up. I got beat up. Physically, me, Deja, I got my ass beat. Pardon my language. Let's get into it. I want to start off by saying, obviously right now, I am perfectly fine. Look at me. I'm happy. I'm actually in a great mood today as I'm sitting down to make this video about something really crazy that happened to me, something that was really scary, but something that I got through, and I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm still blessed. I'm still love. I'm still serenity. So recently, and I'm going to give it some time before I even upload this video because I don't want y'all going and looking for this person who beat my ass. But recently I had a retreat, and it was a retreat where before this woman came, there was a little resistance. Like I was aware that she hadn't really traveled abroad before, and her parents were really worried about her traveling, to the point of like it becoming like arguments, to the point of it become like escalating and causing issues. Just that the level of them not wanting her to go. There was a lot of fear there about what if something happens to you? Like, can you really trust this person that you found online? This is someone who found me through YouTube. One of y'all. So she moved through that resistance. At first she said, I'm not coming. And then she said she was coming. And then she said she was not. And then she said she was coming because she had already gotten her plane ticket and everything. I was willing to reschedule, but this is all happening like a day or two before she's meant to come, like trying to cancel. And I'm like, if you don't feel clear, like I told him, like if the energy doesn't feel clear, we can just reschedule this to later in the year. If it's just feeling like, if you're feeling all this resistance, perhaps it's a sign, you know? But she said no, she wanted to move through it. She knew that she really needed this. And she did. She needed this experience. She needed this inner child healing retreat, which is what I offer. So also, literally this year, I wasn't meant to be offering any one-on-one retreats. I literally said no more private retreats because I never really earn money with private retreats because I keep the price low to make it accessible. And then after the expenses, there's really not much left for me. So it's almost like working for free, even though it's work that I love to do. That's why a big part of why I stopped doing private retreats. But I was supposed to be having a group retreat. All the women who signed up kind of fell through, and then she kind of came through like, I want to do a retreat. And I was like, even though it's going to be a private, let's just go ahead and do it. And that same thing happened in April. I was trying to host a group. Nobody came but one woman. So I also did a private retreat then. I ended up having this retreat despite the fact that I wasn't trying to have one-on-one retreats for a while. And despite the fact that there was this resistance coming up before, and despite the fact that we're literally in a retrograde and everything, so whatever. I went through all these energies fully in trust. Like, this woman needs some of this love, needs some of this experience of working on her inner child trauma with me, someone who has been doing this work for years, and this is my passion. And I just feel like when I sit with women, I can understand in a deep way. And like, I'm always guided, you know, by angels to say what this person needs to hear, to understand, and also to feel supported and loved, and to help them in their process. Like, this is what I love to do, y'all. This is what I love to do. So this woman came, and I'm just like, come through, beloved. We're going to work it out. We're going to do this, this, and this. We're going to do some inner child work. I knew that it was going to be a lot of new stuff. She's staying here in my house, in my farm. As you can see, I have my bed there. This is like meant to be an extra bed, but there's no mattress on it. It's just some wood, and then my tent is on there. So I gave her my bed because that's the nice one, and then I took the tent and cleansed the space, prepared, put so many positive affirmations. I always pray over the house. Like, I do all my little things, you know. I do all my little things that I do to prepare myself mentally, physically, spiritually, and prepare the house. Prepare the lands, got the yard cleaned up, you know, got the grass cut, all these things. For me, we're free and clear. We're about to get some healing on. We're about to get our healing on. And usually my retreats are really fun. And it was fun. Like, we actually had a great time. And when we met, I found a lot of things that we had in common. And I could see that where she was on her journey, like, she wanted so much for things about her life to change and improve. But it was a lot of radical changes that were needing to happen. And that's a lot of change. A lot of change can be a bit jarring, you know, especially when you're still holding on and processing a whole bunch of stuff, even from childhood. Like, how can you really be in the present moment if you're still being held down by these things that have happened to us in the past? So that's just to give y'all a little backstory about all the energy that was moving around before. So we had during my retreats, we have a mushroom ceremony. So I am a facilitator for this type of medicine. During the majority of my retreats, I serve this medicine with the intention of helping people to move through inner child trauma, and with the intention also of like bringing a level of healing to the heart space and a level of understanding to the mind. Because sometimes it's just a shift in perspective to help us to be like, oh, I am free. I'm free of all that stuff. I'm free of it. So I've been doing this for the past 3 years. I also have taken a course in how to serve this medicine from other people who facilitated for 10 plus years. And at this point, just on this farm alone, I've had, to take a guess, maybe 30 ceremonies over the last few. I've only been on the farm for like 2 years. So has it been that many on the farm? Maybe not all on the farm, but in my life, in my time, in my last 3 years of giving ceremony, I think I've probably given around 30 or so, which is quite a bit of experience. Maybe more than 30, maybe 40 or so. And also I've been in situations where I've gone to other ceremonies where it's not been me, the facilitator, but just all in all, I've used this medicine a lot. I understand it deeply. And I've been with many different situations, many different people. You know, I've served it to men, I've served it to women. I've served it to elders as old as in their 60s, and I've served it to people as young as 19. So I have a variety of experience. I've served it to people with different types of circumstances. I've served it to a handful of people who have BPD, bipolar disorder. I've served it to people who've been clinically diagnosed with depression. So I have experience. I need more. And I'm getting it. And this was quite the experience, but I'm just trying to give y'all some understanding of, like, I felt very confident serving this medicine. I feel very comfortable serving this medicine. I feel very aligned with what I do, how I serve it, and with the results that I've had so far, which is I've had amazing ceremonies. I've had one that comes to mind is I had a group of women here that all came from Atlanta. This is the one where I had an elder like in her 60s. I had women like in their 30s and 40s and in their 20s, and we were all together. And it was like 9 of us, and I was leading, and I got to sing to them, and we got to like, at one point we did a big group hug, and we just stayed there for so long, and we like swayed side to side. A lot of like extraterrestrial vibes was happening. And it was just, there was tears, there was laughter, there was just beauty, you know. It was beautiful. That was my favorite ceremony so far. All of them have been beautiful, but just to show you, like, in my experience of the medicine, it's a lot of joy and laughter and understanding and release, and like, it's always this feeling. So I've never experienced what we might call a bad trip. I have experienced some people who got really sad and had to cry a lot. And I've been able to hold that. You know, I've had people that just needed me to hold them in their arms and like rub their back and just be like a mother to them. And I've had that experience too. But even in that, usually through the tears, then there's this smiling and this laughter that always comes through. The overwhelming consistency, and every time I've ever used this medicine, and also every time I've ever served it, is this feeling of joy, surrenderance, and laughter that comes up. So this is what I'm preempting my guest with. I'm letting her know, okay, like mushrooms, like they help, they are an antidepressant. Like they help to break down all of that guck that we've got going on, all that trauma, all that stuff we're attached to in our stories. They help to like really break that down to get back to your most pure essence, which is, oh, like it's actually kind of funny how sometimes I'm feeling insecure about this thing, but it's just who I am and I love myself. Like these kind of realizations that can come through. And so I'm preempting it with a lot of love, a lot of positivity, like everything's going to be fine. The day that we go into ceremony, it's like we're staying on the farm the whole day. We go to the river, we do clay masks, we get to stand in the rain, like we take a nature walk, we go to the other river, the bigger river. We eat very light, eating a lentil soup and a lot of fruits, because I like to fully fast when I'm going to take the medicine. But in this case, since this person is not as used to that kind of thing, I'm like, okay, let's eat, but very light. Yeah, so we did all these things. We did a yoga flow, we did a meditation, we did a tarot reading. It was going to be a rainy night, so I couldn't have the ceremony outside, which is something like I wish I could have had it outside, because that's where the majority of mine have been. I've only had 2 ceremonies where it rained and we came in the house. And I find that people like it better when they can be outside, because I just have a really nice view, and it can be really like, I think it makes you feel safer than being in the house, where it's not the biggest house, you know. But anyways, we're inside. I set up a space right here. This is why I'm doing the video right here. I set up a space right here with some mats, some blankets, candles, like bowl of water, set the altar, everything's ready. Like I said, we did a yoga flow, we did a meditation, we did a tarot reading, we set our intentions, and then we began our journey. And during this journey, this young woman, she's younger than me, like the age of one of my little sisters, like a very young woman. She, I knew that something that she had in her was this fear and not always fully trusting, because I saw that in her family, how they were like really afraid of her being here and really didn't trust or whatever. I also want to say, like, whenever I have guests, if they like, especially because a lot of my guests are young women, nobody under 18, but still I've had as young as 18-year-olds come. So I'm always open to speaking to parents. I've spoken to multiple parents of my guests before, and I let them know, like, here's my contact, here's my information. If you'd like to set up a Zoom call with your family, we can do that so that they can meet me and get to know me, so that they can feel a little more trust in the person that they're sending their child off to be with, because I understand how there's a lot of trust that has to happen there. I'm in a whole other country, and that's a big deal for certain people, okay? Especially within the Black community, and my guests be Black women. So anyway, she didn't want to do a call with her parents because she was actually worried about how they were going to treat me or talk to me. So she was like, no, thank you, but no. And she came anyways. And yeah, so I knew that that was some energy that she was coming from, this energy of not fully trusting and having fear. So when we started, the journey was actually really nice. I had out all the art supplies, which I like to do. And it's like, okay, if you want to paint, if you want to draw, if you want to write, here's some stuff if that's what you're inspired to do, because it can make you feel really creative. So she started by painting. She painted nice and slow for maybe the first hour and a half or 2 hours. And she said she wasn't really feeling the mushrooms. So we ended up upping the dose. I always start with a very low dose. Again, like a part of me kind of wants to go into details of the dosing, just because this video is just for my community to know what happened, but it's also for fellow facilitators or people who are considering doing psychedelics, who have experience of BPD or experience of any psychosis or psychotic episodes. Like, these are the things they kind of need to know. So my max to give to people is 2.5 grams, which is not a huge dose. It's very common that you'll see people take like 3.5 as like their first dose. I've never even taken that much. I've only ever taken as much as 3 grams for myself, because I find that the medicine's really strong. And for me, with just 1 gram, I feel it. Like, I'm in a deep journey. That's just because I'm very sensitive and my mind is very open. My body's very open to the medicine. I just let it do its work. I very much surrender to it. But it's not the same for everyone. Some people need more and they don't feel it. I've had ceremonies with people where I gave them 2.5 grams and they were like, I really didn't have that much of an experience. Like, I really didn't feel anything. And I was like, what? Like, I was like in another realm. So everyone's different. Everyone's different. But that's why I make my max 2.5. Because ultimately I want everyone to be safe, and I don't want them to have too intense of a journey if they're not ready for that. I want it to just be enough for them to experience that healing. So we start on 1 gram. We give it about an hour, hour and a half to see how you feel. In my experience, people feel it an hour in. Me, I feel it immediately. Again, I'm very open to the spirit of mushrooms. As soon as I'm even around mushrooms, I'm like, I already am starting to feel it in my body because I'm so psychedelic myself. I just feel it. So we start with 1 gram. An hour and a half or so went by. She didn't really feel anything at all. So then we went up. I don't remember if we went up to 1.5 or we went up to 2. I think we might have did a 0.5 and then another 0.5 soon after. But either way, we upped the dose slightly. And then we waited another hour and a half. So now we're about 3 hours in. And she's like, I really don't feel much at all. Like, she was starting to be like, I feel a little, like, different than when we started. But she wasn't really reacting like she was feeling anything. So then we did the final 0.5 because I was thinking, okay, maybe this person has a lot of resistance and needs a higher dose to actually surrender to this feeling. And so we did that. And in the beginning, there was a lot of love. Like, I was just speaking love into her. I was seeing how she was, like, in the bed, and I have these, like, Christmas lights type things, golden lights around it. These lights were on. There were candles going. And, like, the bed, I had the sheets that were orange. And she was just laying there looking over at me. And I was standing in the kitchen. I was like, you look so safe in there. And something that's been coming up for us during our retreat was, like, you're in God's hands. Like, that's why we can trust. Because if we have faith that we're in God's hands and, like a lot, like, things that are happening are divine, then we don't have to always be like, ooh, is this person trying to be sneaky? Is that not real? Or, like, no, like, if someone comes through, like, I mean, of course I have the discernment to make whatever judgment calls I need to make, but overall, things coming to me are coming to me for some kind of divine purpose. And I am safe, I am guided, I am protected. So when I have that level of faith, I can move through life with more ease. That was a big theme that we were talking about. And I was just feeling, and I was in the mushrooms already. So I was like, you're so safe and protected. And all you have to do is take care of your own heart, take care of yourself. And then other people are going to be taking care of you too. But, like, it's always like, what can I do for myself? How can I love myself? How can I feed myself? How am I going to speak to myself? You know what I mean? Like, so that was like the kind of spiel I was on. And then she said she was a little hungry. So I was like, oh, I can make some popcorn. I don't like to eat when I'm on mushrooms, but she seemed hungry. She was like, oh yeah, that sounds good. So I started making popcorn. I got to make it the old fashioned way. Over the stove, LOL. I know that I'm being long-winded, y'all, but I want y'all to have the full of this before I get to the part where I get my ass beat. And I'll put in the comment section if you want to skip to me getting beat up. If you're only here to hear about the violent part, then I'll tell you what time frame to skip to. But anyways, this is actually when things went crazy. Was I was making popcorn, and when I finally took the top off to start to put the popcorn into a bowl, like, it kept popping. So it was popping everywhere. And I'm on mushrooms, so I'm laughing. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, pop, 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 pop. I'm like, oh my God. And then I covered them and I laugh and I look at her to see if she saw what was happening. And she was kind of like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh my God, it's the popcorn. Like, it's popping everywhere. And I was just laughing. And it seemed like she didn't really understand what I was saying. So I just was like, oh, she's in a different realm than I'm in. That's fine. So then I start to go to put salt in the popcorn. But then I was like, some people are weird about how much salt they want. Like, some people don't like a lot of salt. And I was like, so I turned to her and I was like, do you want salt? Oh no, I said, do you want to salt your own popcorn? And she looked at me, she was like, what? And I was like, your popcorn, it's ready. Like, do you want to put your own salt on it? And she was just looking at me like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I was like, I started laughing because I'm like, oh, it's probably because she's getting really shroomy right now. Like, it finally hit her. So I go and she's in the bed and, like, the mosquito net's open. So I look at her and I said, your popcorn's ready and I have some salt here. And I want to know if you want to put the salt on because you know how much you like. And she started looking like, what is that? And it was pink salt. I was like, it's pink. And we had actually had a conversation about pink salt during that day. So I was like, remember, it's pink salt. I told you about how I like to use pink salt because it's healthier. Remember, you see, it's so pretty. Like, it's so beautiful. It's pink salt. Y'all, this girl looked at me like I was trying to poison her with this salt. She was like, what is that? And I just kind of moved it away. I was like, okay, let's actually just, so I put that away. I was like, shit just got real. So then I sat next to her and I just was like, hey, like, remember where you are, like, you know, and I start talking to her and different things, and I'm just checking in. And at that point I was seeing like, okay, like she's actually not having like a happy experience. She was starting to get scared and get worried. And I went and I played the guitar again. I don't even remember timeline wise if that was before or after the popcorn, but there was a part where I sang this song. And actually I sang a few songs, and like she just didn't react to the music. Most people when I'm singing, like they have some, like maybe they'll sway with me, or sometimes they'll tell me like, oh, that's so nice, or I like that, like, and they'll have some kind of response. But she was just silent, but also kind of looking like kind of angry as I was singing some of these songs. And yeah, so anyways, things started to escalate. Like she started to really be afraid, and she started looking at me and being like, did you kill me? Did you kill me? Am I passing out? And I was like, beloved, you're alive. You're breathing. I was like, put your hand on your heart. She did it. And I was like, and feel for your heartbeat, okay? You're still breathing. Your heart is still beating. You are safe. You are safe. And I kept explaining to her, I was like, remember that you ate a mushroom chocolate, beloved. And and that psychedelic is very intense, and sometimes it can make you feel like you're dying, but you're not dying. You're just shedding, and you're going to be fine. And the sun is going to come up in the morning, just like it always does. Like, I'm just speaking love. I'm speaking in this tone too. Like, you're okay. And then she kept going into this very gentle and sweet space of being like, yeah. Like, and she's like, I'm just scared, Deja. Like, I'm starting to hear voices, and she's like, I'm just scared. And she's like, I don't want you to leave me. I want you to stay close. And like, she grabbed my hand, and I was just holding her hand, and I was just speaking love over her. And I was seeing her inner child come out, like, who was just afraid. So we moved through that, and there was this very gentle and sweet child, like within her energy, just very like, oh, like a 5 or 6 year old type of energy, like, just don't leave me. I don't want to be alone. I'm a little bit afraid. And I was like, you're okay. It's like the medicine's going to take you on a journey. So you have to surrender to it and let it do its work. It's not going to last that long. You have to let it do its work. Because she kept saying, well, how long is this going to last? And these kind of things. And then, you know, she kept getting out of bed and kind of walking around. So I let her move around. I had the whole space set for her to like, okay, you can be here. You can go get in the bed if you want to be comfortable there. But also like there's all this space here on the floor where you could sit. I put away the art supplies to kind of get them out of her way because she said she was done painting. Also, I kept bringing her a painting. I was like, when she got scared, I was like, remember your painting? Remember the painting you did when we got started? And it's beautiful. Like, she was really talented. Like, it was a beautiful painting. And she was like, oh, my painting. And like, she held it. And it was beautiful, y'all. It was so beautiful. And then she started to get mad. And she started to be like, I feel like I have to fight. I feel like I have to fight. And she started kind of pacing a little bit. And I was like, are you angry? And she's like, I'm mad. I'm pissed off. And I was like, why are you angry? Let's talk about it. Like, it's okay to be angry. Like, let's talk about it. What's going on? What are you angry about? And she was like, I came here and you're going to kill me. And like, she kept thinking that I had killed her and that now she was dead. And she was also like, she was, saying different things. Like, she was saying she was hearing voices, and the voices were telling her that she wasn't safe or different things. And she was just like, where am I even at right now? Like, how did I get here? So then I'm talking to her. I'm like, remember, and I kept speaking her name. I'm not going to speak it now because that's none of y'all's business. And send love to this person, truly. Before we also talked about her name and middle name and about bringing it up during the ceremony to remind her who she is. So I kept reminding her, remember who you are. That's still who you are. And I'm Deja, remember? Remember, you know me from social media, and you came here to do an inner child healing retreat. Like, I'm just talking to her, like, remember where you are, like trying to bring her back. Like, hey, remember where you are. Remember that you are safe and that we're here to do a medicine ceremony. And that's why you have all these intense feelings, because you're on a medicine right now. So we're just going to move through it. And I had her do these things where it's like, okay, if you need to walk around, that's fine. And like, tap your heart. You know, so she was doing some of that, and she was in between kind of being like, she was really mad and being like, okay, she's kind of weak and she's kind of figured it out. And she was walking around, she kept almost falling. So I'm like holding her, and I'm like, hey, like, maybe you should sit down because it seems like you're going to fall and I don't want you to get hurt, you know? So I got her to sit down a few times. She kind of fell out, but I had her in my hand. So I just slowly laid her down, and I'm like, all right, beloved, like, you good, you know? And I had her sitting on the couch here at one point, and I was by her knees. I was looking up at her because I was sitting on the floor, and I was just speaking something to her because she was feeling all these different things. And I was like, remember to breathe. Let's come back to our breath, the same breath we did before we got started, okay? So I'm leading this, and I'm talking to her very gently, and I'm like, you know that you are safe. I know that sometimes things are very scary, but we always get through it because we're always protected. And it had been raining by then, and it was dark. It was nighttime. So I was like, I know that it's dark, and I know that it's raining, but that's just because it's nighttime, and it's raining. But in the morning, the sun's going to come out. And at one point before all this too, I actually took her out into the rain. I was like, come on, let's feel the rain. And she did feel better in the rain, but then she got still overwhelmed and wanted to go back inside, I think, for safety. But for a moment, she did feel calm in the rain. And I felt good going out in the rain, because it wasn't raining super hard, I was like, feel the rain. Anyways, when I was sitting there and she was sitting on the couch, at one point she looked at me and she just went, bop, right here in my cheek, hard. And it hurt. And I was like, I was shocked. I was like, oh my God. First of all, I've never been punched in the face in my life. For those of you who know what's going on with my little brother, I do have a little brother with autism who is aggressive, and he's been violent towards me, but he doesn't punch. He's a open hand hitter, and he usually hits you on the head, and my hair protects me from him because he doesn't really hit me in the face. He hits me on the head. So, and he's bitten me and done other things. So I've been attacked before. So I kind of reacted the way I would with my brother, where I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you hit me? That really hurt. That really hurt. And she was like, oh my God. She couldn't believe she did it. And again, she went back to that little girl, so this is a sweet woman, y'all. This is a sweet woman. I want to preface this with this is a very sweet young woman. She had been very kind and loving and open, the whole retreat, very sweet. And so I saw that in her, but that hurt. So then I kind of reevaluated my whole energy. I was like, okay, I need to really make sure she feels safe because she's starting to wild out. She wilding. I ain't never been hit before in my life. I've been attacked before, but under different circumstances. I've never had anybody in my home ever hit me. So I'm just like, all right, I got to just make sure she feels safe. After she punched me, I was like, hey, I kind of had my hands up like this. I was like, why would you do that? That really hurt. That really hurt me. And I said her name and I was like, remember that I'm Deja and I'm just here to help you. I was like, if you need some space, I'll go sit over here and you can just have your space. You know what I mean? I was like, if you just want to kind of be with yourself for a little while. But she didn't want me to leave. She's like, no, I don't want you to leave or whatever. And I was like, okay, we're going to move through this. Here's where the timeline gets very jumbled because I don't know what happened when. But ultimately, y'all, she kept on hearing these voices. She kept saying different things. She was like, are you trying to rob me? She was like, are you trying to rob me? And then she kept grabbing her phone. Are you trying to take something from me? I was like, I'm not taking anything from you, dear. You're here doing a retreat with me. I would never do that to you. And then she was like, you trying to kill me. So you brought me into your house so that you could kill me. And she's tripping. And I just kept telling her, I was like, remember that you are alive. I know that it feels like you're dying, but that's just parts of you dying. But you, and I would say her name. I was like, you are alive. I was like, touch your heart again. Remember that your heart is beating, and you are breathing. And I was doing these different things to calm her down. I was like, do you hear the rain? Remember, it's raining. We're still on earth. We're still right here on the earth. It's rain, just like all the rain we've ever heard our whole life. I kept coming back to the rain. I'm like, remember the rain. At some point, y'all, she really came at me. She choked me. And then she started to really fight me. At one point, she was just doing this thing. I don't even know how to do it because I literally don't fight. The thing where a girl will go like this, she was doing that towards me. And I just kind of moved and she stopped. So I was like, all right, we cool. I didn't think it was going to escalate. But at some point, she really came at me. She grabbed me by the neck and she was choking me and she was walking. And I kept being like, hey, you're hurting me. You have to stop. You have to stop because you're hurting me. And then she starts punching me in the face, y'all. This girl beat my ass. Y'all, I'm not a fighter. I've never been in a fight. I've never been in a fight with anybody. My mom has hit me. I've hit my mom back a few times, never in the face. And my mom also has never punched me in the face. Like I've pushed my mom when she's been like pushing me or hitting me in the arm or something. I've pushed my mom. So that's the biggest fight I've ever been in. My brother attacks me. He's severely autistic. I don't hit him. I don't even push him. Whenever he attacks me, I just get out and find a way to close myself somewhere or close him somewhere so that he can stop attacking me, because he's very big. He's a man. So that's a different situation. But thank God for that experience, because that made it so I could kind of take a hit. And the funny thing is, during that day when we walked to the river early in the day, I told her about my brother because she didn't know anything about it. And I was just telling her about like how we can still find love through even like adversity. And I was like, you know, my brother, like, it has been a big challenge being his caregiver throughout my life. And yet he teaches me so much love, and like I feel stronger. And I'm sometimes like, why does this have to happen to me? But I'm strengthened by it. So I just learned my lessons. And I told her, I was like, and even like, even though my brother has hurt me before, at least now I feel like I can kind of take a punch. And I laughed because I was joking. I was just joking. But her spirit took that in. And she's like, oh, you could take a punch? Bet that. Y'all started to beat my ass. All I could do was grab her like here on her arm to try to keep her fist from hitting me. But she was really fucking strong. And not just being physically just strong. We're about the same height and stuff, you know, about the same weight, you know, more or less. Like, she's not that much bigger than me, but she was strong and she was skilled. Like, she moved like a boxer. Like, she had form, and she was uppercutting me and bop, 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 bop. Like, she had form. Like, she might be a real fighter. Like, and I told her, like, y'all, because after all this, and I'm gonna get to it, like, we moved through it and we were able to talk about this and integrate this. And I know that's a lot for y'all to hear right now, but I told her, I was like, you might be a boxer for real. And if you ever become a famous boxer, then this is going to be my claim to fame. But y'all, dead ass, this girl beat my ass right here. She was hitting me a lot. I kept saying things to try to get her back, to be like, hey, like, you can't do that. Like, you can't hit me. You have to stop. You have to stop because you're hurting me and it's not okay. You're hurting me and it's not okay. You have to stop. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to hurt you, so you have to stop hurting me. So I was holding her arms really hard. She got through it sometimes, she still hit me. She, at one point I kind of turned from her. She grabbed my hair, and then she grabbed me like this from my back. So she got her arms around me like this. She's on my back, y'all. She takes me to the floor. Knee first. I done hurt my knee. It's looking a lot better now, but this bruise and this cut is from that. Right here on this concrete floor. Bangs my head into the concrete floor. I want y'all to know that the dogs were outside. Thank God. I had them locked out. That's a whole other part. The dogs were inside at one point, but she kind of freaked out about the dogs, which they make me feel safe. I was like, remember Guardian Angel? Like, they're here to keep us safe too. But she didn't like having them in there. And actually, around the time she hit me, oh my God, I forgot to tell y'all this. Y'all, it gets real. When she first hit me, the dogs were inside, but it was just one hit. So Guardy, this one, he walked up to her and kind of sniffed her a little bit to see, what, wait a minute. He wasn't barking or nothing, but he was like, what's up? And she went to grab Guardy by the neck, y'all. She didn't fully do it. She just got this close. Like, she didn't even get the chance to grab, just like this to Guardy. I immediately grabbed her hand and pulled it away. And I was like, no. And that's when I put the dogs out, because I was like, oh, this girl is not about to touch my babies. And thank God I put them out, because if during the part where she really tussled me happened with the dogs in here, those dogs would have attacked her. They would have fucked her up. And I'm really glad that they didn't, because she does not deserve that. And that would have just made everything worse, ultimately, because then I would have been hurt and she would have been hurt. So, and y'all, this is a Find Serenity retreat, period. Liability, like, y'all are not coming here to get hurt. I also don't want to get beat up. I also don't want to get hurt. But my guests' safety is my highest priority. Their safety and their well-being. So even in the tussle, I'm trying to also not get her hurt. So I'm trying to keep her hands off of me. At no point in this do I hit her. At no point does that even cross my mind, because I'm not a fighter. I don't fight. Even when she first said that she felt like she needed to fight me, I told her, I looked in her eyes and I was like, I don't fight. I don't. I don't do that. So once she gets me down on the floor, she hits my head on the floor. I'm really this is when I was the most scared, because I could feel her energy escalating. I could feel her energy escalating. And I was like, if she continues to escalate, like this girl could really kill me. And that would be crazy. I was like, I done let you in my house. I done fed you, clothed you. I mean, I didn't clothe her, but you know what I mean. You know, I done fed you, cared for you, you know, loved you. And like, now you're going to kill me in my own home. And it was crazy to even have that thought because she was saying that. She was like, I came here, I trusted you, and now you're going to kill me. So then she tried to kill me. She literally tried to kill me. She had me on the floor, still hitting me in the head. I got punched in the face more than 10 times. Could have been 20 times. I don't even know how I got out of that. I eventually was able to get her off of me and I got myself up. And also, like, she de-escalated after a little while. I think maybe after even letting out all that rage because she hit me hard in the face. She kind of stepped away and she would just do the different pacing things. And so I'm like, I got to stay safe. Now, just so y'all know, after that big one where she had me on the floor was hitting me, like after that, I don't think she hit me again after that. I'm pretty sure it was done because just the energy moved. You know what I mean? So, and that was a little while after the first punch in the face. It was a while before she then attacked me like that. And actually, she might have hit me one more couple of times. I think it was 3 separate incidents where she, like the one time where she hit me once, the second time where she hit me a lot and she had me on the floor. And then I think one more time she hit me, but after that, it was done. So it was a few different kind of spurts of time where I was just really on my toes, like really trying to like, again, holding her arms as hard as I could to keep her from punching me in the face. Eventually I got her to calm down. I kept telling her, I was like, I don't even know what I was saying after that. Because I was also then in my own process of like, I'm hurt. I'm really hurt. She got back in the bed and laid down. And I was like, okay. I hide my knives, my kitchen knives. Because I'm like, the last thing I want is for her to literally kill me. I don't know what's about to happen. So I'm just being aware and I'm just like, I don't even know exactly what I said, y'all. I don't even know exactly what I said. But at this point, she laid down in the bed and I just sat back here where I'm sitting right now. And I was just like holding my head and I was like, oh my God. And then I start to touch my head. Y'all, I've got welts. I've got all these bumps on my head. This, when I'm making this video, this happened 7 days ago. I know, like, you can't really tell as much, but there was one here. Here, this is all still sore. Right here, like, this still hurts. When I'm touching right here, this still hurts. There's still a little bit of a bump here, but it's almost gone. I'm going to put pictures here of how it looked when it happened. This is the bump from me hitting my head on the ground. You see that? That is still there. I still feel it. But at the time there was like 3 big balls on my head. So I touched my head and I felt that and I was like, oh my God. And I'm like shaking and I'm like touching my head and I'm like, oh my God, because even when she was hitting me, like I could see that she was hitting me hard, but after the first one, like it wasn't even hurting anymore because I was just so aware that I was focused on, okay, how am I going to get her to stop hitting me? So I couldn't even feel the pain. So afterwards, I was kind of feeling the pain and I was just really like touching my face like, holy shit, my face felt crazy. I hadn't seen myself in the mirror, but my face felt crazy. Like it was all so tender. It was like I could feel all the blood was up close to the skin and also like these huge bumps, you know, huge. Never experienced anything like that in my entire life. And she got me on the head because I did like kind of turn, like when she was punching me, I went down like this. So she ends up getting me mostly in the forehead. So I was trying to protect my eyes and my nose. She did hit me once really hard in the nose and I checked and I thought I was going to be bleeding, but I wasn't. But over here, this is still sore. This is sore. This is sore. And this is sore. And this is 7 days later. Thank God. I mean, I obviously look pretty much fine again. But like I said, I'm going to drop the pictures here so y'all can see how I was looking and how my knee was looking. And my knee was gushing blood. So I have blood running down my leg. My face is all welted up. And I'm just sitting here like, she just beat the shit out of me. I'm hurt. I said a few other things. I don't exactly remember. I was always trying to come back to that calm space because also, ultimately, I don't want it to happen again. So I kept telling her, I was like, you have to understand that you are safe here. Okay? Like, everything's going to be okay. And at this point, she starts being like, when is this going to be over? I don't want to feel this anymore. And I was like, and also throughout this, I'm checking the times. Because I want to know how long has it been. I checked the time when we take the mushrooms. I want to know how long has it been since you first took mushrooms. And at this point, it had been maybe like 5 hours since she took the mushrooms or something. And only like an hour and a half since she went ape shit. And I was like, honestly, most people are done about 6 or 8 hours after taking the mushrooms. They're done. And I just told her, I was like, it's not going to be much longer. All you have to do is relax. You have to relax. You have to breathe. You can look at your painting. I was like, let's play some music. Let's play some music that you might like. I played some music on my phone. My phone's about to die. Let me grab the charger. So much happened that I can't, I mean, obviously I've told the part that I wanted to tell, which is that I got beat up. But I wanted to let y'all know, like, the aftermath and the integration process, because that's really important. So throughout this, again, she's hearing these voices. She's thinking that I'm going to rob her. She's thinking that I killed her and all these things. And so that kind of was finally subsiding, and she was finally coming back to herself. And so she was laying in the bed, and she was kind of like asking about when it's going to be over. She's like, she didn't want to feel the mushrooms anymore. And I told her that it wasn't going to be much longer, but I was like, you just have to rest. I was like, you just have to breathe. You have to breathe, okay? I have like a mushroom playlist. I played some like calm music, doesn't even have words, like just some calm music and stuff. I also at some point was asking her if there was music that she wanted to play from her phone, like any music she liked. Also throughout this, she had her phone and she kept opening it up, and I was worried that she was going to be like messaging her family or her friends while she's in this state, like saying some shit like I'm trying to kill her, like. But I didn't want to take her phone because she wasn't trusting me. So I didn't want her to feel like I was trying to stop her from communicating with her family. So I was like, I'm just surrendered because I'm not trying to kill her ultimately. So it doesn't matter what she does with that phone right now, because I'm not going to mess with it, because I don't want her to think I'm trying to take something from her. Also, she was thinking I was trying to rob her. So I was like, I'm not going to take anything from her. But she ended up throwing the phone at me. And this is when she had started to calm down. She got mad again for a second, and she threw the phone at me hard. But I blocked it with my hand, and then it fell on the floor, and I just left it there. And later I gave it back to her, like later in the night. But she started to calm down little by little. And I kept giving her space. Like, she was in the bed, so I kept coming back over here by the altar to just breathe. And I was hurt. Like, at that point, I was really hurt. And my leg was bleeding, and I just came and I would just breathe. And I just was breathing. I was so exhausted, y'all. I was like, my face was welted up. I was bleeding. I was like shocked that even just happened right here in my house. So then she started saying, Deja. And I came by, I was like, you okay? I was like, are you all right? Are you feeling a little better? And she was like, are you okay? I was like, no. No, dear, I'm not okay. I was like, you really hurt me. She's like, I'm so sorry. She's like, Deja, I'm so sorry. Y'all, this is still the same night. 2 hours ago, she was beating the shit out of me. Maybe less. Maybe an hour ago, she was beating the shit out of me. Now she's like, Deja, I am so sorry. And I was just like, all right, it's okay. But I was like, I'm so tired and I need to rest. So I kept leaving her. And I was a little scared of her at this point. So I kept leaving her side and coming back to sit by the altar to breathe and to rest. And every couple of minutes, she would call my name because she wanted to know that I was still there. And sometimes I sat next to her on the bed and I like put my hand on her arm and I just was like, you're okay. I know that was really scary, but just like I said, you're going to get through it. We're going to get through it. That was really scary, but we're okay. Okay? Like, you're okay. You're still right here in my house. You're alive. You're breathing. You're okay. You're okay, all right? So then I left her again. Again, I would leave for maybe 10, 20 minutes. I would kind of rest. I fell asleep a little bit because I was just like so exhausted from the whole journey. At this point, it's only like maybe 10 o'clock at night. And yeah, I kept laying down. She would call me to come back. And by like 11 p.m., that's when she was officially done with the mushrooms. Also, I had been done because I had taken a smaller dose. So I had been not feeling shroomy. I was just then in a processing being beat up. And yeah, she said sorry a few times. She was like, she was kind of in shock. She couldn't believe that she did that. And she was like, oh my God, like, do you want me to leave your house? You don't want me here anymore, do you? And I was just like, Y'all, this is the level of like understanding, because yes, it was wrong for her to beat the shit out of me. Yes, it was wrong and I didn't deserve it. But I know where she's coming from. She's coming from a family that's so afraid something's going to happen to her while she's abroad. She's a young woman traveling alone for the first time. She still had a few more days of retreat left. This is only day 2. So, and I mean, it's true. I was afraid, but I was also like, that was what was trying to happen. Like, because I came in to the mushroom ceremony very fearless, into the retreat very fearless, and she came with all this fear, and it was like that fear was trying to beat fear into me. It was trying to get me to be afraid. And I was like, I am protected. Even when she had me on the floor, when I really was like, for a second, got really scared, I was like, nothing bad can really happen to me because I have angels protecting me. This home is protected. I am protected. I know I'm going to get through this. I know, because I am so protected. Like, I know this is scary right now, but I know I'm going to be okay. So, I had to make a decision. Do I end this retreat and she has to contact her family and be like, oh, the retreat had to end because I beat the shit out of my facilitator? Or do I let her complete the retreat and complete doing the inner child work with me and move through and integrate something very intense and even traumatic? Can we move through this? Like, what kind of role model am I going to be for this young woman? And what am I going to send her home with? So I decided to, and our following day, after the day of the ceremony, was to go to my friend's house, go on a hike, be in the waterfall, be in the river, eat really good. And then there was a lot of rest. So I was like, I need that, first of all, because I'm literally beat the fuck up. And she needs that. Because at the same time of, I am hurt, y'all. I was physically hurt, and I was sad that I got hurt. But also I could see how there was this evil energy that she was holding, or that was manifesting in this journey. And it was that evil energy, that entity that was beating me up. I still saw when she came out of it, her going back to this soft and gentle self. And it's like, she's a whole being. She is not only this person who beat me up, she's also someone who's healing through a lot. And I think was holding a lot of negative energy that she's picked up over the years and has held deep inside of her. And the mushrooms made it come up because it had to come up and out. And I pray she never has to go through anything like this ever again. I pray I never have to go through anything like this again. But I chose to continue. Even that night, after, while I'm still very beat up, she's also having a process. And I'm her facilitator. She's having a whole processing the fact that she just beat someone up and she didn't want to beat me up. She literally later was like, she couldn't believe that she did that, y'all. She said sorry to me 1,000,000 times, y'all. There was remorse. There was remorse. It wasn't like she continued being weird and crazy afterwards. It wasn't like I ever thought she was going to hit me again. I knew she wasn't going to hit me again once I saw the energy that she was in. I made her a peanut butter and jelly sandwich at the end of the night. I sound like a battered woman. But like, she was hungry and she never ate the popcorn, which I decided to give to the dogs after a while. And I just like made her a peanut butter and jelly. It was like, all right, girl, like I rolled a joint so that, because marijuana can help with grounding and stuff. And she said she wanted to smoke and also can help you with sleeping after all of that. So, yeah, but then we sat and we talked about the fact that she just beat me up. And she was like, because she there's something she could remember, something she couldn't. So she was like, she started to realize that she was hurting me, but she said she felt like she didn't have any control. She felt like she didn't have any control. And she was like, she was hoping that she wasn't hitting me very hard. She's like, I hope that they were just baby hits. At this point, she couldn't even see me because we were in the dark. So she couldn't see how beat up I was. I was like, nah, God, them wasn't no baby hits. Them wasn't no baby hits. I was like, you beat me up badly. And she's like, oh, Deja, oh. Like, it was a process, y'all. It was a process. Then the next day we go to the waterfall. We're still processing. The next day we go to town. I have to teach. I teach this Spanish class, and I like to include it even when I do retreats in case the guest wants to take a Spanish class with me. And it's just like, this video is long because I'm processing so much. Like, I felt so much. But ultimately, I was safe. And I know it doesn't sound like it because I did get beat up in my own home, but it could have been worse. I could have ended up in the hospital. I could have got stabbed or something, like, but no, I got beat up and it's all healable. And even in it, the person who beat me up showed a lot of remorse and showed me that, like, she kept saying, like, and I kept talking her through it. I was like, maybe I should have given you a smaller dose, or perhaps it was the setting. I was just trying to figure out what, on my part, how could I make it so this person could have just felt safe throughout it, you know? And she was like, you didn't do anything wrong. She's like, I remember you trying to make me feel better throughout it. And I remember all the nice things you were saying. But she was like, but it just, like, this other energy had controlled me. And it was like, I couldn't, like, break through it until she did. Eventually she did, because ultimately she stopped beating me up. She could have kept beating me up all night, but she eventually let it go. There's a lot here. I might have to even do a part 2 because there's just a lot to process, y'all. I'm still in a deep process. So the next day I was still in shock. My body's really hurt. I was blessed though. She hit me, like I said, more than 10 times in the face. It was just a slight bruise here and then the bumps, but they weren't, even the way they looked, like, they weren't crazy noticeable. Like, they were noticeable. Like I said, I'm going to show y'all the pictures, but I did wear a scarf covering my forehead the next 2 days, because for those 2 days you could see it, and I just didn't want people to see it and be asking me, like, what happened, because I was also still with my guests. So if somebody sees me, like, what happened to your head, and I'm standing next to the girl who just beat my head in, I'm like, so I covered my face. I covered my forehead for those 2 days. And I also covered my knee, but not a big deal. People would think anything could have happened to my knee, you know? So yeah, we processed it. We moved through it. And every time we had the chance to talk alone, she was saying that she couldn't believe that it happened. She mentioned she wished she had hurt herself instead of me. And I was like, thank God you didn't do that, because also that would be equally not good for me. I don't want you to hurt yourself either. I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want to get hurt. You know, I just want us to not be hurt together. So we talked about all this, y'all. And I even told her, I was like, I understand that there's more to you than that. And that you are healing. And that wasn't the real you that was doing that. And like, whatever that was, you really do need to do the work to move through it. Or else you could hurt yourself. You could hurt another person. And we don't want that. It's not okay. So we talked a lot about it. We talked a lot about integration. We healed. We still did yoga together, meditation, breath work. Gave her an oracle reading. I still fed her and cared for her as if she were my own. Because ultimately that's what I want to leave behind in her. Because if I feed more of that evil, angry energy, if I feed it with more fighting and more distrust, I don't trust you. I'm just feeding the thing in her that made her do that to me. But instead, I'm going to feed the light in her. I'm going to feed the love in her. I'm going to feed the trust in her. Like, look, even someone who you've hurt can love you. So I know you can love yourself. And I know you can forgive. Because I'm showing this forgiveness to you in real time. And real forgiveness. Like, I don't wish no harm on this beloved woman. Like, and as you are hearing this story, for those of you who care about me, who love me, who might not want me to get beat up, thank you. I don't want to get beat up ever again. I never want that to happen again. It hurt. I didn't like it. And I forgive the person who hurt me, because I know she was going through a lot. And she thought she couldn't trust me, even though she could. And it's funny because she was so afraid of someone hurting her, and she ends up being the one to hurt someone. And that was her lesson. You're the one with all the fucking power. You're out here worried about somebody hurting you. I was like, girl, you can fight. Can't nobody hurt you. I was like, girl, you can fight. Nobody's gonna hurt you. You're a warrior. So you can let that fear go, knowing that you're the strong one. You're the dangerous one. And this is a person who, she was literally afraid of like butterflies. Like when butterflies come around, she's like, ah. I'm like, that butterfly would never do to you what you just did to me, and yet you're afraid of it, you know? And it's just that coming around, letting that fear go. And I see that it's been bred into her because of what she's told me about her parents too, and how they were so afraid. And I'm like, they've raised her with all this fear, so it's all in her. And plus society and blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of reasons why she's holding all this fear and why it came up in that way and came out in that way. And I'm fearless. I'm brave. I'm still fearless. I still trust. I still have faith. I still know that I'm protected. I will not be doing any more one-on-one mushroom ceremonies though in this home. I decided to let that go because I have to understand, why did this happen to me? Why is it that I just got beat up in my own home? There are things I need to do to better protect myself. I'm safe and I'm grateful that I'm okay, but also that can never happen again. So perhaps I'll have another friend become a co-facilitator with me and help me whenever I give ceremony. Perhaps I'm still figuring it out. Because I love and value the one-on-one, and I've had great success with it in the past, but this was the first time where I was one-on-one, and I was scared because I was like, if she really hurts me really badly, then she's fucked too, because now I'm not here to take care of her either. And I live, like, most of my friends don't have Wi-Fi or service where they live, so I couldn't just call a friend. Like, I thought of my friend's mom to call, but she's like a small lady. Like, I would hate for her to come over here and get beat up. And I also knew my guest was really afraid, and I didn't want to bring another person in that she didn't know, because then that would probably scare her. And I didn't want her to attack anybody else. So in the moment of being afraid and being alone, I'm like, I wish I had someone to help me. But I also couldn't suddenly pull someone into this who's just completely unprepared, wasn't even in the ceremony space, and suddenly they're having to help me with someone who's become violent. So I didn't call anyone except God. Only one I called out to was God. I was like, God, help me to get through this. I said it out loud I was like, God's going to get us through this. And she's also a Christian too. So I'm like, feeding again, like remembering like how she believes, you know. I might sometimes say spirit, but in this case I'm saying God. No, God's got us. Truly. If you have faith in God, you have faith in life and what life brings to you. Even if life brings to you an ass whooping, it's like, God, I must have had to learn something. And so for now, I'm not going to be having any more one-on-ones. This is somebody who found me here on YouTube. It's one of y'all. And I also did talk to her about the fact that I'm going to make a video about this. And like, she knows, like, I have to put the testimony out there. I told her to share her testimony as well. Because it happened and it was real. And this is my story. This is my side of the story. She has her own side of the story, her own experience of all that it was. And yeah, she gave me so much love and so many props in the end. She was so grateful for everything that she experienced. And I wanted to regret, like as I was trying to figure out, okay, what did I do wrong? What can I do better? There's some part of me that's like, there was no avoiding this experience, because ultimately what I could have done differently was I could have not done this retreat. I could have told her, I'm sorry, I can't do the retreat right now, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to anyway. Or I could have just, when she told me about her history with BPD and different things with her mind, perhaps I could have just said, okay, no mushrooms. And we could have done the retreat without the mushrooms. So those are two options that I could have done. Obviously, can't go back. But moving forward, if I work with someone who has similar things that she has going on, I will opt to either not do the retreat or perhaps just not do the mushroom part. But even as I say that, God keeps telling me, like, she was meant to do this. Even though it was really hard on both of us, she was meant to do this. And I do think something was released, because after the ceremony, like, she was tired, she was she needed a lot of rest, but I could see in her energy body that something was gone, like something had been released. A little bit more of that fear or that distrust that she was holding on to, it dissolved because of how I handled the situation. And now she's able to move on with less of that. There's way more work to do, and I send her my love as she does that work. And I pray that all of y'all who are able to witness this video send her love, because ultimately, I don't want her to be hurt, and I don't want to be hurt. I want her to go forth in her life and to find serenity, to be better because of her experiences, to feel loved, to feel safe, to feel that protection, to be able to walk in faith and live the life of her dreams. That's what I want for her. That's what I desire for her. I want her to never beat somebody up again. And I want to never get beat up again. Never. No one put your hands on me. If you were planning to come do a retreat with me, do not hit me, please. And I promise I won't hit you. And this young woman, like, she left completely unharmed, except she did have a really big bruise on one of her arms from where I was, because again, I was holding her like this to stop the punches. This is how I was holding her. I had my head down. I'm like this, holding her arm. And on one of her arms, she did have a bruise, and it got pretty big. So I did hurt her a little bit, and for that, I'm sorry. But not that sorry, because I was trying to stop you from punching me in the face. But I'm sorry if you're now in pain because of me, because of my physical being. And I know you're sorry for the pain that I'm in, because, like I said, she said sorry a million times, y'all. At this point, the rest of the retreat was just her apologizing and us processing that whole experience. And me just being like, I have to breed more trust into this woman so that she can have trust in the world, because people have not been trustworthy for her in the past. So now she's having such a hard time with it. That happens a lot when people meet me. They have to learn that, you know, when you're getting just this level of authentic and unconditional love and you're not used to getting it, it can actually be really triggering. When you're meeting someone and you're just seeing like, oh, this person really is loving me for who I am unconditionally. And when you're not used to giving that to yourself, it can be very like, why would you do that? Why would you love me so authentically and truly and freely? And it's like, because I love myself. I love myself so much. And so my love for others just comes very naturally. My trust for others, because I trust myself. I know I'm not out here with bad intentions. I've never beat anyone up. I've never punched anyone in the face ever in my life. So why would I ever expect anyone to punch me in the face? You know, like I don't even have that expectation. I know that I'm safe. I know that people are mostly good. So I wanted to breathe that into her. And I pray that it really, I don't even need to, I'm praying over the whole situation. And also I know for a fact that I made a bigger impact on her by loving her through that than I would have made if I would have called the police on her. Or if I would have been like, oh, the retreat's over, you need to get the fuck out of my house. Some of you may have done it that way. And I'm not saying that's not valid. I'm saying this was my choice. I'm happy with my choice, because I really think I made a difference in that young woman's life. And I pray that she continues to work on herself and heal deeply, heal all of the little corners and crevices of her being, because she does deserve that. She doesn't deserve to be hurt, and neither do I. I know it's a lot to unpack, y'all. So let's talk about it in the comments. Thank you for listening. And as always, I hope you find serenity. Hope you find serenity.